Let's record to the clock. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the One Play the JV Way. And we got a special video for you today. Coach AJ Knutson. Did I say that right, Coach?
Knutson.
I see. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it.
Nobody
I
gets
said
that
it.
right,
You know
but
what's funny
Knutson,
too
yeah.
is I said it the other day, and I go, that can't be right. So sorry, Coach. AJ Knutson
No,
is with us today.
there you go. Yep.
And Coach, could you just introduce yourself a little bit and give a little bit of your background?
Oh yeah. So I mean, we're talking JV ninth grade, which I did out in Detroit Lakes in Minnesota. Did 9 years there with them. So 8 years was with varsity and the JV because in Minnesota, that as a 10th grader, so JV, you practice and you can dress for varsity games, and then the games are on Mondays.
Yep.
So I got to help out do that, and then on the short week, when we did MEA, so we'd only have Monday, Tuesday practices. On that Monday would be the last JV game. I'd get to go be the D coordinator for the JV because that was the normal JV D coordinator was the varsity secondary coach.
Oh, gotcha.
So and then I went and did 1 year out in California, high school, and then I came back and got to be the D coordinator for ninth grade for the whole season. So and then I started having kids. I haven't really coached since, but so now I've started my YouTube, my page, I got my book and all that stuff on Facebook. So
Great book for everybody watching too. I bought it and ate it all up in one night and emailed him right away and said, "All right, how do I do this? How do I do this?" So,
yeah,
um, so yeah, that's a bit of a jump, Minnesota to California for a year, huh?
yeah. My best friend moved out there a couple years previous, and I coached and he 3 years of semi-pro. He taught me his system and stuff like that for semi-pro, and that's where all my formations came from.
Yep.
And then so I did that 3 years with him. So when he moved up to California, then I had the opportunity to go out there and move in with him and his family and do a high school season with him out there. So
That's awesome.
yeah, that's when the whole gun spread option football offense started. So and we were 80-20 run, but it's all out of gun for the most part, and we rushed for what 4,300 yards in 11 games. So
Wow,
we ran the ball.
that's
And we had
that's
about
all
eight,
option football right
and we had
there.
800 yards passings. We had just around. Oh no, it was 4,100 yards because we were just below 5,000 yards of offense. So
That's crazy, and that's all. That's all high school kids.
yeah, but in California though, we had 25 juniors and 25 seniors. We had 50 players, but we only had
Okay.
we only had three coaches. So like in Minnesota now, we have basically a good year: 20 seniors, 20 juniors, 20. We're around 60. We had around between 9 coaches on varsity in Minnesota. So
Wow.
it was nice for me as a volunteer to be able to jump around and learn what I wanted to learn. So
Yeah. No, that's the best way to do it. Yeah, I tell you what, in New York here, we got, we're New York's a little different from all the coaches when I talk to when they all look at me kind of confused when I tell them that varsity and JV are completely two separate entities. We're not, we're not separate entities. We are the true feeder into the varsity,
mhm,
but you don't find many schools around here that are doing the typical varsity JV or practicing together as one team, and
sure,
then all the leftovers play on a Monday night.
yep,
We truly are our own separate team. We've got, my varsity staff or our varsity staff has 5 coaches right now, and our JV staff has 4 coaches.
that's
And
nice.
we work together and we do stuff together. But like this whole off season, I've been preparing specifically for my JV team, and
Yep,
so have my 3 staff members. So it's always I always find it interesting to learn kind of how different JV programs work around the country, and Minnesota sounds more on par with what I talk to
yeah.
other coaches about than what kind of we do.
But we only had
So,
one JV head coach though. That's it. And he called the offense. And then, like I said, the special teams or the secondary coach then would just come just for the games. He wasn't doing the practice. So the JV coach did offense and defense.
yeah,
he did it all on his own. And then so when then with me being a volunteer, then when if you needed extra help to go run a scout team, I'd just jump over there, go run scout, hold up the scout plays for him and
Yeah.
stuff. So
Because you're really working as a developmental angle for the coaches too. Like you
oh
guys are
yeah.
really like JV isn't just for developing players out in those states. You guys are really developing coaches too. That's the consensus of coaches I talk to. They say like when we're not doing varsity stuff, we are getting more of the call on JV. We're getting more of the
Yep.
responsibility, but we are still beholden to what varsity is doing week to week. So when they're
Hmm.
game planning varsity stuff, JV is just kind of okay. This is our system. This is what we're running. We're not necessarily game planning for their JV team. We're running our game plan that you've been working all week. Now we're just running it in a second game.
Yeah. And the other thing that's like so like out in California now, you're the JV, um they play before the varsity game on Friday night in California. So
Really?
yeah, it's back to back games. And so, but like I said, with Minnesota, you play your games Monday, but then you get to dress for the varsity game. So, like if when you run up the score, the JV gets to go in and play, which is great. Gives them
Right.
experience. And then out in California, if you pull up a JV player, he can't go back down. So
Right.
if you're going to pull him with the varsity, he is now a varsity player. So that was a little bit different out there. But the nice thing is if you can get your JV coaches to run a couple, like I was able to have them run a few plays and formations just to see how their JV was going to line up because I know that their JV is going to run their base stuff. And yeah, that was very helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. We're kind of the flip side of that. We let varsity be the kind of the test dummies there, and then we see
Sure.
what their JV team's going to do because they're like, oh, their varsity ran this, so
Yep.
we always throw a few wrinkles in there that the varsity doesn't do, um, just to kind of monkey with their JV coaches. So so yeah, I mean, I mean, I think you share kind of a passion like I do for really working the develop. Because we all know JV sub varsity, we're not there for the glory, we're not there for the
Oh
win
no.
loss factors.
Mm-mm.
We're really there to push the program and with all the stuff you've done with the book and the Facebook page and the YouTube, you're really there to help coaches get better at the development. So I mean, you're right in my wheelhouse, coach. I
Yeah.
mean, that's it, I mean, just being able to message with you and all the stuff that you've been adding to my Facebook page, um,
Hmm.
really, you're my kind of coach, so I love it.
Thank you.
But I mean, we're not just here to shoot the stuff about how much we love JV and sub varsity football. We're here for a mission today, and I tell you what, I was foaming at the mouth when you messaged me about, hey, I really want to talk defense and I want to talk the 5-2, um, because coordinator on my team, we're a base 4-3 system at
Okay.
our school, and but we play multiple schools that are double wing, and
Oh
everything I've
yes.
kind of all the research we've been doing, and that's one of those things. We've played these teams for the past 5-6 years, and nothing we do works. We've thrown the kitchen sink at these kids, and
Hmm.
but everything we've researched and everything we've looked at this offseason really says the 5-2 is a great formation to run against it.
Hmm.
Um, but it's something I've talked to my DC about saying, hey, 5-2 might be a nice little system to run that kind of base or plays along well with our 4-3.
Hmm.
So when you mentioned that you were going to talk your 5-2 and how
Hmm.
successful you've been with your 5-2, I tell you what, my heart started beating out of my chest. I said, "Oh yeah, I've got my notebook ready. I'm ready to go." So, coach, give me your breakdown. Give me your spiel. Why
So
is the 5-2 your system?
Well, for me, my D coordinator that I learned under, we were when we had our best success when we won our state championships, we were a 5-2. Except for my senior year, we ran a 5-2. It was a check 5-2. It was a little bit different because we were facing more I teams. So I can show that too
Oh yeah.
a little bit later. But this is what I ran with the ninth graders. So this was my base defense. In California in 2013, we also ran it, and then we scrapped it after that because if you don't have a nose guard on the varsity level to run it, it's not that great. So that's one thing you
Yeah.
have to have is a nose guard, or at least have decent linebackers. So you got me there. That's there. No, you were fine. And then move this out of my way. So, and the nice thing for me is, come on. Oh, edit display. There we go. Now I'm in. The nice thing for
There
me
we
is
go.
I played nose guard in seventh and eighth grade, and then I moved to will linebacker all the way up until my senior year. Um, I mean, all the way through my senior year. So I've learned all the different reads and stuff. The only thing I have not coached in this defense is the TNT. I've coached the DNs. I've coached the secondary. I've called the secondary. I was the secondary coach for the ninth grade when we did our indie time. So, but the nice, well, again, it starts with the your nose, and then these guys are in five ticks. Um, which everybody's like, they want to go here and they all like that bear front. Yeah, we have a call for that. That was our Laker call, but really that you want them out in five ticks. That's the base. This is the base defense of it. Um, and then with us, we were I guess I don't know if they call it match coverage. You have to tell me. It's check with me. So if it's 2 by 1, if it's 1 by 1, it's cover two. If it's 2 by 1, it's cover three. Um, And then if it's 2 by 2, then it's cover two, and if it's 3 by 1, it's cover three. So we're always the secondary would see what the formation was coming, and then we would make our adjustments. So he'd be 8 by 2.
So your kids are calling that on the field. Your
Yeah,
secondary is calling
free
that
free
on the
safety,
field.
free safety is, yep. And then he'd be 4 by 4.
Okay.
So that gets what we called stony up in the box. So that's how you attack the eye. Line up in normal. And then, some calls would be to crash and eagle your tackles and your DNs, and fire them. That was some of the calls. The blitzes are really simple. It was Will B, Sam B, and then you had just your twist blitz. Um, and so cover three, he's reading through the tight end to the backfield. These guys, the secondary, were always big on read steps, so they would have three read steps to figure out if it's run or pass. Those are some of the normal things on that. And the DNs were always talking to contain. That was their job. And so if the ball got outside them, the corner's job was to contain because you got all these defenders inside the box. So it was always to contain. So we would run drills where the wide receiver would come with a bag and he'd keep your outside shoulder free and get it turned. Like that's doing your job. So
Right.
Uh, I'll let you fire away. You said you had questions on this, and we can cover any formation you want.
Oh, absolutely. So, so right off the bat, I got to ask, why the five tech
What's that?
for the D tackles? Because I'm
Oh,
I'm part of the I'm part of the school that's always learned when you run a five man, um, you, the tackles always seem to be in the three, but you're not the first person that I've heard running your D tackles in a five tech. So why the five?
that's your normal. That's your 52 because it's not a 3-4. We're actually running a 5-2 defense. So because your nose has both A's, he's a two gapper. Backers have B, D tackles have C, and D ends contain. So and again versus I, if it
Right,
wasn't a tight like that, you can
right.
reduce. So we could reduce like that, and you can check your nose. So, and we could still check our nose even if we're doing that. It would just tell your linebackers. And that's just a simple call. Um, but like I said, this is Laker. Yeah, everybody knows it as a bear. This was and then our backers would widen. But I would tell you what, twist splits out of this was not on. I mean, that one game that we did lose 36-0, I stopped every single 2-point conversion because
Mm.
when I call twist splits, it's was just like that, and we stopped every two
Oh yeah.
point play, our only loss, and that's just in ninth grade especially. That's a huge blitz. So, the
Your
big thing
D
is,
your
yep. Go ahead.
oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I've seen some coaches, they sit down here and then they're like, "Well, how do we stop power?" And I tell them like, just move your tackles out to a five technique. And they're like, "Oh no, I want to be able to." I'm like, "Well, that's the way you stop it." And I learned that from my coach because I was actually in Laker, I was in Bear, and they're running power. And he's like, "Are you in Laker?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, why are you moving the big guys inside where they're running?" I'm like, "That made a lot of sense to me."
Mhm.
So that was my very first game of being a D coordinator. I never forget it.
So I used to be a defensive coordinator for years at the JV level before before I got switched over to offense. Um, and I was always nervous with our younger kids teaching them to two gap. So how do you teach your sub varsity nose guard? Like what techniques are you teaching him to be able to two gap a kid?
So these guys, all five of them, if there was a guy on him, is to on the snap of the ball is to get your first hit and get and build a wall 2 yards deep. So they are to get their first hit and build a gap. So basically, if he's there, he's just it's just a bowl for him. Unless we're slanting, but a lot of time too, we'll just all make slant calls to the strength, to the field, like if we see something, that way he doesn't have to two gap. But if he is, he's just a bull rush. It's just to get in that center chest and just get a hold of him and push him 2 yards back is his job to get penetration. So
Right. Now you said will you call the slant for him,
yes,
or is
that's yep. I'll
that
just I'll
something
just
that
I'll
is
just be like
being called
slant,
behind
slant,
him, or
slant strong, and then they automatically know the linebackers will just say wrap, 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 and they know that they're slanting strong. So
yeah,
so yeah, very simple calls.
hand signal for slant is slant strong, slant weak.
Yep.
Yeah, because I've been running the same call since I was in high school of getting slant strong, slant weak. Um, Now your DNs, I'm building from the inside out.
Hmm.
Your defensive ends, are they 3 point, 2 point?
2 point, and their job is just to not get pinned. That's the only thing their job is to do is not get pinned. So they're there to be. If this guy
So
wants, he it's
are
just
they in a 3 point stance? Oh, two
go ahead.
point stance. Okay.
Yep, 2 point stance. Yep. So yeah, their job is just to contain.
Hmm.
If we do say like we'll have like a pass call to allow them to blitz if we want them to, but their job again is to get 2 yards, and then if the ball's going away, then they could wrap into the quarterback if it's a pass. But they are to get 2 yards, get their first hit, get 2 yards, and then find the football. And a lot of times, what I've learned is what
So
coaches do is use a wall or like a chain link fence. If you got like fences around there, is to have them do that to get that 2 yards away from there, and then just laterally move their feet, or else because you see a lot of kids early on while they're learning this is they're always reaching back because they're getting too much penetration.
right. Yeah, I
So
know that's a big problem we've always had, but I've never heard. I like that coaching tool using a fence or a wall. So you just have them. You have the offensive lineman stand with their backs to the fence, and then just have the end penetrate, or have your lineman penetrate in.
yeah, they're basically would be that it'd just be the D line here, and then they're just going to get 2 yards up to that fence, and then they're just going to go left or right. The coach will tell them left or right, and then they're just shuffling. So it just reminds them
It does.
about the depth. So
Right. So nose guard, A gaps, salmon will, B gap responsibility, correct?
yeah, yep, and they're doing the reading the guards. So the base was always tough for me. The
Yep.
base block is always the easiest one, hardest one because if they're down, you're down. That's easy. If they pull, you pull. Um, and then pass is pretty easy too. But the base one was always hard to shed that. If you're a smaller guy like me, that was base was always the tough one. That's just like that DN two.
Do you have a linebacker stepping forward first on the play?
Uh, always these guys are run, run, pass. So if they give up a
Okay.
pass, it's not big deal. These guys are pass, pass, run, and he's pass, pass, pass. Nothing gets behind the free safety, and we that's how we
Yep.
emphasize that. I learned that from my secondary coach is to let them know run, run, pass, pass, pass. You know what I mean, like that. So to emphasize for them, so they understand what they're doing.
Now you're Stony,
Y-
your strong safety.
Yep.
So if there's tight end to his side, you automatically roll him up.
Yep, because it's cover three. So then he's just got flats and he's just going to read that tight end. And it also brings the mice up for run because if they want to run power and ISO and stuff to this side and it gets bounced, then he can pay peekaboo and fill. So
Yeah, he's a nice alley fill there. I like that. I really like this structure to it because like you said, it's simple. It stops the runs that you need to stop, and you can always adjust. I could like for example, I could foresee if you're playing against a team that's like your typical double wing veer option kind of team, you might want to take your tackles and fill them into the B unless they're right.
what was that? The B? Yeah, against this,
Yeah.
like
So
that.
like,
Go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say so against like this formation here,
Mm-hmm.
would you want to move your tackles in, or do you have
Yes,
you?
absolutely.
I mean, I don't know how much. Okay.
Yeah, no, yeah, because we would just call it 4I and we would have it Laker. So we're definitely going to move these guys around because if you're guessing like it's quick trap, if they're good quick trap cream, then why are we leaving them out here? Let's get them down in the box. Um,
Right.
and now they have to double team him, even if they are to try to run any kind of power, any kind of stuff out here. The end's job is um, still not to get hooked there. And now your cornerbacks, they're 4x4 outside, and it's cover two now, um, because it's 2x2. And then And then the simple thing is if you want to go sky or cloud, if you want to do it that way, just because of personnel, because these guys are better tacklers, then you can just go sky or cloud, and then that just changes the responsibilities. Now these guys are deep half players, and these guys are up there forcing the run. It's just a personnel thing.
Right. Yeah.
It's just an adjustment that you can easily do.
So you're the DC. What's your typical structure look like for a call on a Monday night? Are you calling alignment, pressure coverage? What are you doing?
I never have to color. I never do coverage. So all I'm doing is getting my front five guys lined up. Whether I want them in normal, a 4I, or or a um, or a Laker. It's the sign for Laker. That was easy. That was like I
Mhm.
said, bare front. And then I could just be like, eagle, which would be for the DNs to eagle and fire their gaps, or and then but the secondaries always check with me unless we're like I said, unless we're going to sky or cloud, but really didn't do that in ninth grade, but I did teach it to them. um I just left them up there, but like I said, the formation tells the secondary what to do. So I don't ever have to. I'd never call that unless we were did do stony fire and send the strong safety. Then we could. But and then like I said, it'd just be like Will, twist blitz, Sam, twist blitz, or or double thunder. I can't remember what my call was for double thunder, but yeah, when we were sending both backers. So yeah, basically just alignment, and then if there was a blitz, so I didn't have to do anything else.
Nice.
Very, because you got to keep it simple. Because again, it's ninth grade, so it's very simple. Very few
Yeah,
calls. We just and the other thing.
that's where that's where we run into trouble with our 4-3 sometimes is keeping it simple.
Hmm.
Because 4-3 is a great defense. Don't get me wrong, it's fun, but sometimes the ideas and the run fits can be a little wonky for your sub varsity kid.
Hmm. Yeah, and then against your weak and strong side for this, obviously when you got balance is to the field. So that's what we
Right.
did for checking weak or strong, and that really didn't change much unless we were slanting weak or strong. But usually on this, you'd slant to the motion for the most part, because usually at double
Right.
wing they're going to motion that guy. But I did want to say for me for ninth grade, the ninth grade head coach that I got to coach with, he was my ninth grade coach, so he'd been doing it for a long time. So that was really nice. He took the best guys for offense, and I rotated three platoons on defense. We had exactly 33 players, and so I just had a red, white, and black defense, and then it was just per series. Each kid got a series, whether a series was one play, 3 plays, 4 plays, because by the time you end up get the game, everybody got a chance to play on defense for me. So that made it fun.
That's awesome. That's such a big piece right there, and that's something that I've been trying to stress is, we're not in this right now to win championships. I mean, New York, anything below varsity doesn't get jack. You know, 30 plus hours a week for a game that he's just going to go sit on the sideline.
Mm-hmm.
So we started implementing that too of really building like lines, like hot. So like our I know me on offense, I do my offensive line. I almost work like hockey lines. Like, all
Okay.
right, here's line one. You guys are going in this series. Line
Oh,
two, you're
sure.
going
Yep.
in this series. And my defensive guy, he's been doing a lot of the same things. And my secondary coach on defense, I mean, he started doing this 2 years ago where he's got specific groups that
Mm-hmm.
every other series he's going in, and we might have 8 different combinations of secondary kids going in at any given time. Um,
Yep.
so that's a huge thing
So
is being able to rotate players.
and I put my best backers with my worst D linemen. So again, my first level had my worst guys, but my
Yes.
my linebackers could make up for that because they were dudes, so they
Yeah.
could just fly to the
I
football
mean,
and
we
make
still
all the
want to win.
plays. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
like
we
I said, we
still
were
we still want to be good.
we were 9-1. So my only one loss is we were -5 in the turnovers. Our offense turned over 8 times. We were -5. I had turned the ball over 3 times on defense, and we lost 36-0, and that's the only loss I've ever experienced. But that was tough.
It's not bad for a 5-man front. That's pretty darn good, especially in
Oh, and
today's
I wanted
day and age of football.
I wanted to talk about this because I think a lot of guys don't do this, and it's something that I think some younger guys need to understand and learn. And I don't see a lot of guys doing it. Is they're telling these safeties that they need to be on the tackles, they need to be on the tight end, they need to be here. Um, our safeties are taught, even in ninth grade, that their job is to, because it's cover two, because it's balanced, is to have leverage on a nine. So they need to be able to get to here. So their alignment, if it's a fast dude, he could be here. If he's a slow dude, he's going to be way the hell out here. Um, but his alignment has nothing to do with what's here. It has to do with here, this right here. And that's something I don't see many coaches teaching or talking about anymore. I don't know if that's an old school thing because my secondary coach taught me that, but um, we have leverage on a nine. That's their alignment.
I really like that. It's so simple. It's such a simple concept, but like you said, I think we're all drilled in the head of free safety has to line up 10 yards off the weak side guard, strong safety has to line up 8 yards 8 yards over the C gap or blah 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 blah. But fundamentally, what's the safety's job is don't get beat.
Mhm.
And why are we putting them at a disadvantage to the biggest threat of the offense is the deep ball? Why are we putting our safeties at a disadvantage than it is for them to drop? So that's such a simple but concept of just put them in position, get them somewhere where they're going to be able to actually help on that.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing I have not seen in many groups in the defensive stuff, and it's like, am I speaking for it? I'm like, how can you allow your safety to be up here when his job is to cover this? Do you think this tight end's going to just come off the ball real quick and be able to catch a pop pass? No. Your DN
Right.
should be getting his first hit and jacking this guy up, and he got three read steps to see what's going on. So,
Yeah. Well, I mean, even if you're looking at run fits, safeties oftentimes, if they're not the backstop, they're the alley fill.
yeah.
Well, if you want them to alley fill from in between the hashes, when it's easier just to be over on a hash where you've got the leverage on the nine to just be able to come up in the alley.
Hmm.
And that way they're not getting mucked up in the traffic going on in the box when they can just get off field. It's such a wow. My mind's blown right now by how like that all the old school football brain of mine and all the old teachers and everything that I've had throughout my life. I bet you are I should go and smack them all in the head.
Now, here's what we do different too for trips. Another
Oh,
thing you do to help yourself out with trips is to reduce these guys because that'll allow all your linebackers out there to help out if you need them to. But this job is guys to
okay.
redirect number two within 4 yards and sit. So he's going to redirect number two at 4 yards, and then um, he will sit in this zone here, and then he reacts to flat because flat's not whoop de doo if they catch a 2 3 yard pass. So his job is just to redirect
Right.
and sit. And then again, he's 8 by 2 and he's cover three. We had a thumbs call, so if you had a thumbs call, that would tell this linebacker to go help on him. So he immediately doesn't read. His job is to drop, and that allows him to play off more and to help underneath. And what would help
Right.
too, like I said, is if you went to this, that allows your that would allow your linebackers to adjust their and now be able to drop out there even easier. So
Right.
that's
So
another
on
simple
trips, are you
adjustment.
automatic check to on trips? Are you automatic check to cover three?
Yep, automatically. I don't even have to say nothing. The free safety knows it's trips. He just goes like this and calls cover three. Done. Two, cover three.
And then that stony back drops helps out with the flats up top
Yep,
or up front there.
yep.
So do you see a lot of teams if so when you ran this 5-2, did you see a lot of teams do this? Because you said you have that the will sometimes drop off into coverage. Do you see a lot of teams do this specifically because they want to try to single out the corner on the backside?
Yeah, that's typically where they put their dude. That's usually the dude they're trying to get the ball to. Even in the younger ages, if they have a stud wide receiver, that's where they're going to put them.
Yeah.
They don't usually put them out here because what good does that do? We got three guys, four guys that are going to be right on them. But over here, we don't. So he's kind of
Yeah.
left on an island over there by himself. So
So I'm sorry, you called the that lock off call with the will or the help call with the will. What did you call that?
thumbs, the Will and the cornerback just
Thumbs.
give each other a thumbs up, and they know that you
Okay.
got help.
So
I'm
does
with you.
so pre-snap does he align farther that way then towards the corner or
No,
does
this
he
would be this would be I'd call Laker in the huddle because I don't know if they're going to be in trips or whatever. I would just call Laker, and then they'd automatically line up like this, and then the formation would come out, and they'd see trips. The free safety would say cover three, and then the linebacker then could look at the corner and give them, like the corner sees that, hey, I got the stud guy out here, give me the thumbs call, and he knows that I got to go help him.
Yeah.
So it's so no, not the only thing that I know, and that's another thing too. I laugh at guys when they go to work on like scout plays and stuff like that. How do you know how they're going to attack you? Like when I do scouts, I don't want to know every single thing. And the nice thing is my like I said, my head coach has been doing it for so many years. He would give me a scouting report, so I knew what was coming pretty much every week. He'd seen these teams for so many years. So I'd
Right.
kind of already knew ahead of time, and then he would give me a suggestion of some calls, to make, and then I could add what I wanted on there. So it worked out really well.
So, um, one of the questions I had for you, because from personal standpoint, we are actually a no huddle shotgun system.
Okay.
So we are no huddle, tempo, go, 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 go. How are you going up tempo fast when you can't necessarily get all of um your maybe your pre-snap calls in, which you've already kind of prefaced by saying with your at least with your secondary, they're on an island, they're doing all that themselves. They're making that read themselves.
Correct.
So I'm assuming
I'm
that when they line up on the ball, your secondary or your free safety's yelling out 3-3-3, 2-2-2-2-2. Um, but for the rest of your defense, how are you coaching them up, and what are
I don't
you adjust or how are you aligning them to be able to get ready for that tempo?
this normal. Go play football. 'Cause these guys are going to take you to the football. You know what I mean?
Right,
If they're gonna read option us and try to get here and just try to run a little zone, some kind of just a simple zone play or something like that. Um, well, the linebackers they got base. They're filling here. He can't get reached. He's got outside force. He can't get reached, and we should have all. And that's a nice thing too. We got them pretty much outnumbered on every play with having some guys in the box, but these guys got their gaps. So if it's really fast, I won't slant them. But other than that, I probably just give them a quick slant call that just gives them that way their nose guard can just single gap, and I'll probably just slant away from the running back, which that would be a key.
yeah,
We'd key the running back and just slant away. You know what I mean? It's just a simple, quick slant away. So then they
right,
know to slant left. That would
right,
be really quick thing, but I'm going to keep them in normal and let them play football. I'm not going to send blitzes and stuff like that because I always tell guys too, you don't need to blitz and add pressure because if these guards stand up and pass block, or if they pull, that's a freaking blitz. As soon as this linebacker pulls and he down blocks, that's a blitz. That's a let's go. You know what I mean? Like there's no waiting. So on any play, it should be a blitz with just on the reads alone.
right,
Now, if you got linebackers that don't play forward, then I'm going to call blitzes and I'm going to get their butts playing forward into the game.
right. Yeah, that's actually something I told my DC about install upcoming, um, because we don't start for a whole another month.
Hmm.
So, we're still in our preparation and planning phases here, and that was something I told him about his install was, I and it's I mean, I took it from, something else I listened to, and I said, "I do not want you, installing your blitz yet. I don't want you installing your blitz until it looks like our linebackers are blitzing every play."
Hmm.
Like, I want them to be flowing up so fast that, like you said, it should be essentially a blitz every play,
Hmm.
um, and we could throw it in there as a crutch if we need to, or not a crutch, but we could throw it in there as a little booster if we need to, if we have some kid that's kinda hiding back on his heels, but they
Hmm.
should be gung ho every single play, and I'd imagine a defense like this, you want some dudes that are just gonna fly up and smash people in the B gaps.
Yeah, those linebackers have to be that's where our studs are in this defense. You got to have
Yeah.
studs at linebacker. your DNs can't be small, but then your TNT really don't have to because they don't have to be big kids. They just got to be a body that does what they're asked to do. If we're asking them to crash, crash, and do your best job and just build a wall. I mean, really, at the end of the day, all their job is to do is to get a hit and get penetration.
Right.
They've done their job. I mean, that's especially in ninth grade. If you can do that, if you can get your hit, if you can beat this lineman out the ball and get your hit and get 2 yards penetration, we have a wall. They got to run
Right.
around you. You've done your job.
You find a lot of teams pass against you just because
No,
you are
no, not in
because you
Minnesota.
look so heavy in the box.
No, you don't get passing teams in Minnesota. Um, most of the not in Minnesota. We see we have one team that runs wishbone.
You're not finding the next Mike Leach out there throwing a lot of air raid.
No, and we got we got one team no. We get this. We get wishbone. We get one team runs full house. Um, one team runs the which I'll show you the full house. We do adjust to that. Really simple. Makes life so much easier. We do have teams that run this, and we had one team that ran that, and that was to pull these guys, and they did do some straight up midline from gun straight ahead, and had to teach my D tackles to one little inverted device for D tackles. When you're doing midline, so you're not being blocked, don't try to run here because you're not going to get there. Come here and sit and wait for the running back because the quarterback can't doesn't know what the hell to do. And I had to teach my kids
Yeah.
that, and they just couldn't get it because we didn't really practice it that week. But we made that adjustment at halftime, and I tried to explain it to them, and it went a little bit better. But that was one thing when you're so used to smoke and dive here and trying to get it there instead of getting it down the line. That was one little
Yeah.
adjustment we had to do for that. But I will show you though when we do play three backfields, we do go to a 5-3 because it's just simple. Because then everybody's got a back. You don't read guards anymore, and nothing has to
Right.
change up front. You add a linebacker, and then you just play a three shell over the top. So um, your back goes away. You look for this one coming back. Um, now your free safety becomes an A to C gap filler, and these guys are just going to play back 8 by 2 and just make sure everything stays in front of them. Because we got all these guys, actually 9 guys, to stop the run. So
Are you
if we give up,
teaching your ends to cross key the backfield?
no, their job is just to get here. That's it. And then their job is to sit and anchor in case there's a crossbuck or some kind of reverse or anything like that, or a quarterback keeper. Um, Again, you kind of know, but especially wing teams, they're always trying to set up that wing counter. Um, guys that are familiar with that. So they're always going to get
Oh yeah.
action here, and then you get this guy coming back. So we're not going to send our DNs. They're not going to make the play anyway. So we always tell them just slow forward, look for something to cut, look for a cutback. Don't go running down. Don't go running here. We don't need you to make the play. That means these other 9, 8 guys didn't do their job. So just get your 2 yards penetration, find the football. If it goes away, just trail it, look for something cutting back. You know, Again, keep it simple. Make it just do your job.
Yep.
So
Yep. Exactly. Just do your job.
so that's
Um,
but that's just something. So yeah, we're not going to send our DNs anywhere. Their job is to contain, contain, contain. Especially in ninth grade, we don't need them doing anything else.
Now that's a topic I wanted to get into too. When you're especially with your when you're JV ninth grade, how much are you emphasizing reads versus putting more of the onus on the because with us, I know we really tend to focus on making sure you're in the right spot first. So
Um,
getting aligned and doing your job, like you said.
mhm.
But we do start peppering in the reads. Obviously linebackers, we want them reading the guards. So are you putting the emphasis? Are you putting more emphasis on aligning, or are you putting more emphasis?
Well, I mean, we're not changing alignment so much with this, so it's really becomes more of knowing their reads. Um, because we only change alignment a couple times. So, you know what I mean? So it's not like the only, and this guy, I mean, he's either going here or here. These guys never move, and only these guys either move here or here. Like I said, varsity we do four eye, but no, we either go Laker or we're normal. So, and then like if we're facing
Right.
the I team, we'll just automatically tell them, hey, just reduce on the backside. Now that's just an auto. If there's only two guys out there, just reduce it. So,
And then when you reduce, do you move your nose over a gap?
yep, we're gonna check him because we don't need. Now Will can be A. Now you got C and D, so you got all your gaps covered.
Right.
And that was one thing I was gonna say.
Now, what are you doing on the goal line with? Oh, go ahead. Yeah, you do you.
Well, I was just gonna say before we cover goal line. Like I said, when we did switch to this put these guys on an island. I don't know. Some guys call this the 52 monster. I don't know because you add this guy into the run box more, so it really becomes a lot more zero. So you really have to have the dudes to do it. But it was basically now we read the fullback. So the fullback was here. He was the wrong arm it, and then Will had the run through for cutback. So if they were trying to run ISO, either way, and then your strong safety. So um, so we always had fast, and then for cutback, and then like if they're gonna try to run power like this, and then he's coming here, then he's to take it on. He's to play it inside out, and he's got slow flow for cutback. Um, and then again, oop, and again these would be great for fullback reads. So if he was here, then the Will would be fast, Sam was fast, Stony was slow flow. So it's really simple reads. If you're facing a lot of I teams, it's an easy, simple thing, but that does change for linebackers. They're not reading guards anymore; they're reading fullback. But if you're getting a lot of teams that just run I, this is by far the best defense. And we got this in the Minnesota Gophers when we installed it. So,
Pretty good
um,
company to get it from.
goal line. Um, so let's just for goal line's sake do this. Um, go into like a just an I double tight formation. So goal line. Um, Everybody would be normal. Backers are still here. But now these guys, we tell them don't play in the end zone, and we'd probably go zero. Anytime we're inside the 20, um, we're going to uh, we'll go man inside the red zone. Um, and then so that's either cover one or sorry, yeah, cover one or cover zero. So cover one meant that you had help because you had safety at the top. Zero means you're on your own. So the only adjustment there is just don't play in the end zone. So everybody move up. Don't
Right.
cover the end zone because they're going to score in the end zone. Um, and then we would actually depending on where it was, then he's going to adjust his alignment inside shade, and we're not going to give up a slant ever inside the red zone. We want him to throw the fade. That's the 10%. This is the 90% route. This is the 10% route. Make them complete that 10% route in order to score a touchdown. So,
Right.
and then again, so we're not really going to change anything. Um, just play forward. Play forward more like you've ever played forward before. So,
Yeah. That's I
that's,
like that about this defense. It's just do your job, play forward.
yeah.
You know, there's not a lot of frills, not a lot of, which is exactly what a JV defense needs. You don't need a ton of frills. You just need to be able to have something that the kids can understand and just do their job.
Hmm.
Um, I love it. Now the so right here you have your free and your stony aligned to the tight end Z side.
Yeah, because he's locked in. This would be zero, and we're gonna free him up the stuff to run.
Okay.
So
Yep.
I mean, if you wanted to do that, if you want to go 6-2, but no, he's just there. And so this would be again where Stony Fire come in. This would be actually what I'd do is I'd go Laker, not because I care about filling up those gaps, but because now I'm filling up the big gaps is because of that. This is where I'm going to blitz that linebacker and take my guess because if these guys, if he can get penetration before these guys even move, which is usually what happens, we're stuffing everything. I mean, just think you stopped every 2 point play and the 2 point conversion starts on the 3 yard line, right? So, um, I'm gonna I'm gonna send that blitz just what every single time till they make an adjustment. So,
Yeah. Now, how are you teaching blitz paths?
so we will do that in practice, but we want him, and I'm not going to call it early in the game because we want to learn the before we start calling blitzes, we want to kind of learn that quarterback's cadence is what we teach the kids. Even at that age, we're teaching the kids like listen to the quarterback, kind of listen to his voice, understand if it's a slow cadence, if it's a blue 19 19, you know what I mean, or if it's just a set go, you know what I mean. If it's a fast cadence, guys, we've got to be lined up and ready. If it's a slower cadence, you got time. Don't rush it and don't show your blitz right away. So that's why I'll just usually most games I'll just say 52 normal and that's just what we're going to start in. And then we're going to make our adjustments from there. So
Now, is there ever a time where you tell your linebackers, I want you to show blitz? Or do you ever fake, like, or do you ever have them show but back off? Or,
no, because that throws the timing off for them, especially at that age, because we want them playing forward. Now all of a sudden now they're totally out of position. I don't want them.
Mhm.
I don't need them doing that in ninth grade.
Yeah,
No, I
yeah,
don't. I don't expect them to be able to do that back up and still make their reads. So
yeah. Good point. It's a good point. Um, so one other or another question I had in practice when you're installing and when you're doing your defensive stuff, how much preparation or how what's your defensive practice breakdown look like? Like how much indie time you given, how much group time or like pod time as Kenny Simpson calls it. How much time are you doing for that? And then how much time are you putting in team?
yeah, it's 10 to 12 minutes right around there. But we always go NDD, and then we do inside run haul, and then we do 7-on-7 defense, and then we do team defense. So we're really getting a split down. Plus, we had four coaches, so that was nice. So they were able to take their other, when we're doing 7-on-7, they would go take the defensive linemen, and they let them go 1-on-1 against each other, and do blitzing and stuff like that, and going to sack the quarterback or knock down the bag, whatever. We do stuff like that. Um, so that's one thing nice about having more coaches though, because when you're doing any time, everybody's got a spot, and so we had a defensive line, defensive end, linebacker, and I was a secondary.
Yeah.
So then when we go to 7-on-7, I still got another 12 minutes with my secondary because they don't need to be in on the run stuff. So
Mhm.
then, but I'm going to teach them now. We're not going to cover pass stuff. We're going to cover run stuff. So how do we come up on run? How do we tack that outside shoulder? How do we keep our arm free? Stuff like that. What are the tight end reads? We're going to go over that for run. And then, like I said, 7-on-7. Then now the defensive linemen and the defensive ends are going to go with the other coach, and now my secondary's got time to shine. And he goes go play coverage and go, and then again come together as a team, and um, then I'll actually make more calls, do some of the calls and stuff like that. But the nice thing is, with the school that I'm at, they were 52 for such a long time. They had the 52 defense as seventh graders, as eighth graders, and now as ninth graders. So they've already had this is their third year of the same defense with the
Right.
same calls, with the same terminology, and that consistency is invaluable.
Yeah. That's huge for developing that program and getting those kids ready to play on a Friday night is having something that they've seen since they were, you know, first getting in pads.
Hmm.
Um, we have
Now,
schools up here that, you know, they might not be a. Oh, go ahead.
no, no, I was just gonna say, like, so if we're gonna do a tackling drill, it's not, we don't do a tackling circuit with them. If I'm gonna teach my secondary how to tackle, I'll go take the secondary and we'll spend 2, 3 minutes on a tackling drill, and then we'll
Yep.
go into our other stuff. So we don't actually do like a tackling circuit or get together and do tackling together. It's all an individual in the indie stuff.
Right.
So,
Are you guys hawk tackling?
no, well, it's been a while since I've done this. So we were always tackling at the hip. We were the hip guys,
Oh, yeah.
head in front.
Now you head in front.
Yep, head in front on the hip.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yep.
See,
And we just had the
we've been
kids. We'd have the kids walk with a bag right on their hip side,
yep.
and then, because you can't have full contact, and then so then you just wrap up and tackle the kid holding the bag. So
Yeah.
now the new way of tackling is to get right at their numbers, both arms, and now teach them how to form tackle like that. So
Oh, oh
the
God, what's that called?
NFL way.
Um, yeah. See, we started. New York made a big push for hawk tackling, a lot of near foot, near shoulder stuff, and keeping the head. It's rugby tackling. It's keeping the head out of it. But we did
Oh,
that when they
okay,
first. It was what was it? Was it USA Football that did that? I want to say it was just called heads up tackling, where
okay,
you
sure, yep,
like it's full on chest out, head up, back,
yep,
pop through, buzz, hit, that kind of stuff.
yep. And that's
Yeah,
what we
I
taught,
remember that
and
we did that for
that's
a
what we
couple of years.
That's what we taught in California. And we actually, in the camp, they actually made it stop and had everybody walk through it and and and, and progress it so they understood it, and then we are able to do it live and stuff. But yeah, no, they went over that because that's the way you're supposed to
Right.
tackle. So that was the new way of doing that. So,
Yeah.
but no, I was old
Now,
school way.
how much contact are you allowed yeah, old
As much
school?
as you want if you're holding a bag in Minnesota. So everything was always hand shields. Everybody had hand shields, and then it's full go. So. I think
Yeah.
I know you get
Yeah,
like,
we're
we
only
usually
allowed
did
like
like
I think it's like
maybe,
45 minutes a week.
yeah. I don't think there was ever a period, and not, unless maybe we're just doing ones versus ones or something like that, or just we're wanting to just be a little bit physical. I don't know if we rarely ever went live, which we
Yeah.
called live, which no, not known dummies, because the dummies, we had enough shields for everybody. So it was just, then you could just run around and, hit guys with your shield, and it was totally legal, and you could do as much as that as you want, and you could go as hard as you want as long as you're holding a shield.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah,
did a
because
lot of that.
we don't wanna beat these kids up and chase them away.
No. And so then we
Yeah.
always had like, yeah, we would just, or the front seven. We'd just have or the front five. We'd have the front five or the front seven. The secondary never said to carry shields. That way
Yeah.
we'd have enough to go around. But yeah, no, it was, we
Right.
didn't do a lot of live on ninth grade.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
especially didn't on
So,
JV
well,
ever, because JV usually on a good year we'd have 20 kids. On bad years we had like 11 or 13, I think, on the one year, because
oh,
we
yeah.
pulled so many
Yeah.
JV players up to varsity because our varsity numbers were low. So then, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, we didn't cancel any games, but then, yeah, it was very limited contact. And I don't even know if they had a
Yeah, we've
separate
had those
JV
years.
practice that year. I think they just went right with the varsity, and then they just learned their position. That's another nice thing too. That's invaluable too, with your with having 10th grade go with varsity, is you grow up faster, and you understand. You get to
Yeah.
practice with the varsity. So until you actually do breakdown or actually go with your JV coach, you're doing what the varsity does as a 10th grader.
Right. Right. Well, coach, I got one more question for you. Because I hear my baby daughter screaming in the background, and I'm
Oh,
sure
okay,
my wife is
ready, ready to
absolutely
go.
loving life right now.
Yep.
But I got one more question for you. So, a coach like me, a coach like me who is looking at this defense and saying, "This is definitely something I want to do." what's the number one piece of advice you give them about?
To let teach the kids to line up and then teach them their reads. And the only ones that you need to teach reads to are the back four, or the back, sorry, the back seven, or no, on here it's because 5-2. Yeah, the back guys need to know reads. The front five guys just need to do their job, which is build a wall and contain. That's these three guys build a wall. These two guys contain. These guys have to know their reads, and these guys have to know their reads. That's it. So, alignment, assignment, and do your job. That's the simplest
Any,
thing I could say. And don't worry about blitzing.
anytime we don't make linemen think, that makes the game of football so much easier.
No, I know I'm an O-line coach. I did O-line for 6 out of my 10 years. I love O-line. That's my passion. So it's like that's why I tell these guys, move those D tackles around. Even if you guess wrong, you made that lineman think probably, and you might mess up.
Yep.
So don't be
Hmm.
afraid to go from, it may sound simple, going from a five or a 4 eye or even to a three, depending on if they have 2 foot splits, then yeah, you can play around with the three and a 4 eye. If they're shoe to shoe, then it doesn't matter. But even if you just move them around a couple times in a series, like they got to think,
Yeah.
and you're not that worse off. So
Absolutely
I'm
right.
always like one to allow those D tackles to move around. Check your nose every once in a while. Let them be a one gap nose and to shoot that gap. Because he
Yeah.
can make a mess in there, especially, and you don't need a big guy for that. You could put one of your smaller guys as quick guys that knows. You could put a running back at nose and just let him shoot that gap. He'll wreak havoc, especially if they're slow off the ball in ninth grade. So it's just simple stuff like that. But yeah, basically alignment and assignment,
Yeah.
and the
Absolutely.
and do your job.
Do
That's
your
t-
job.
and really, like I said, they really only have the nose guard, the D tackles have one job. The DNs only have one job. The linebackers, they have multiple jobs, and the secondary has multiple jobs because they got to be able to do run and pass. They're the only ones, but the whole front part is just lining up and getting off the ball, building a wall.
Yeah. Simple as it is. I love it.
And
All right,
I
coach.
do have this on you. I do have this on my YouTube. I do have a 52 one out there. That I do go over
Now, that was the
different.
next question. That was the
Okay.
next question is where can we find Coach Knutson on the old interwebs?
So I have a YouTube channel, Gun Spread Option Football. I have, I don't know, must be, I'm up to probably 30 videos now because I posted all the podcasts on there now that I've done. Gun Spread Option Football page, Gun Spread Option Football group, um, Youth and Middle School Air Raid. I'm with Matt Lasker on that one. And then obviously I'm in your group, with you too now, helping out there. So,
And I,
and then my
I
book's on Amazon. So,
and I can't tell you how much I appreciate all the stuff you keep putting on my page because I got a lot of line coaches that are
oh,
reaching out and telling me
th- I think it
how
almost got
awesome all the stuff is that you're giving them.
I think it must have been 100 likes in the offensive coordinator group, academy group. Because there's like
Yeah.
20 some thousand coaches. I'm still getting likes on it. And I posted everywhere. I posted it in yours and mine, all over the place for guys to get their hands on that. I had guys that, can you email it to me? I wanted it in a PDF form, just copying that. And basically, what I did when I did that is I was helping a team install my offense in our offense out in Oregon, and he had a new offensive line coach. And so I just basically I made him an O-line manual that you need for option football because you
Right.
don't need to dip and rip in wing T, but in us, when we're trying to avoid blockers to get to the second level because they're going to read those first level guys. So, um, and that's the other thing I wanted to say quick too, just jump into the offense side before we wrap up. Even though when we were running stuff out of gun and option, the even like when we switched the gun, we always stayed either split back or flex bone depending on what offense we were running and personnel in ninth grade and JV. We would just wouldn't work on the gun snaps because we weren't going to worry about passing the ball so much, but it just helped the quarterbacks learn how to do the reads and the footsteps were,
Right.
easier. So we we would change it up, and basically, ninth grade and JV, JV that year we ran one for offensive formation. It was two tights, flanker right, split back. It was this right here. Whoop, undo that quick. Sorry. Um, because then they're learning how to read these linemen. That was our one and only formation for the whole year for ninth grade. So, and then
You don't need
if
much more than that.
if we were flex bone, then we just went to flex bone. And then, but they never did a tackle over, never did the twins, never did nothing, just the base. Just learning the terminology and the play and get off the ball really and be physical at that age. Because you don't need to try to out formation somebody at that age level.
Right.
So, but yeah, definitely just went under center and went quick. So,
Well, Coach, I appreciate you coming on today. This was awesome. I mean, you were the first guest on One Play the JV Way, and I'm hoping that I can. I'm hoping that at some point in time we can reconnect again, and you could come back on and teach us a little more defense or even a little gun spread option world that need a little help putting in the stuff that their varsity team might be running. And I know that from reading the book and listening to you and and just talking to you that you have some simple ways to talk about the little more complicated stuff. So I appreciate you coming on, and I appreciate you talking with me and working with me on and also teaching me the ways of Zoom and convincing me I might need to go out and get myself a little paid subscription to this bad boy.
well, if you're gonna use it, then it's not bad. But right now, I should probably cancel it. You know, because I got some I want to do, but I'm actually thinking about doing is asking a couple of my football players, my some of my pro football players, is to do all those offensive line drills that I put out and take video of all of them. That's my next goal is to get video of all those line drills.
That's a good
Um,
idea.
so that's my next step because I've done running backs, I've done wide receivers, but to me the offensive line there's just so much there to do and to know. And I know I got a lot of young guys because we are
Right.
talking the younger things is the thing you can do because everybody's like, how do I make this more, for linemen? How do I get more linemen? How do I make it look better so I can get more linemen? To me, coaching linemen is you got to teach them a good stance. You got to teach them how to get off the ball and where they're going, and they have to block for 3 seconds. If they're blocking for longer than 3 seconds, they've done their job. The running back needs to be by, or it's not their fault. Again, do your job. So for me, it's always about
Right.
stance and footwork and just getting off the ball. So that's you saw in all those drills. It was just getting off the ball and putting the head in the right place. If you can do that, the running back should be by you because most of the times you got these kids nowadays they're running 4.40s or they're running 4.540s. So in 40 yards they're running 4 seconds. Well, if we can block for 3 seconds, that's why I put on that specifically on that offensive line stuff. The blow the whistle at 5 seconds. That way they get in that mental. They get hearing that 5 second whistle. Like, hey, if I block for this long, that's all 5 seconds is. We're gonna have a successful play. So
Right.
that's my big thing for linemen is just teach them how to get there. So and who to block. If you can do that, the rest is just getting in that guy's way. They don't have to kill nobody. And that's just build confidence and it's
Exactly.
just reps. So
Exactly. Well, Coach, like I said, I appreciate you coming on. Um, hopefully everybody comes and checks out all your stuff on Facebook and YouTube. Uh, to all the viewers, if you're not already, make sure you're checking out my blog on coachingchair.com, the JV playbook, JV community. You can find me on most socials at time. Have a good week. See y'all later. And Coach, I'll be reaching out to you to pick your brain about a lot more stuff.
yeah. Why don't we stay on 1 second after and then we'll wrap it up.
Absolutely. All right. Have a good week, everybody. We'll see y'all later.